We've been discussing a 21-point plan of action of non-force measures that within our democratic, civil, administrative, executive and judicial setup that we can take to prepare for reintegration of POK, Gilgit and Baltistan. Now, the consensus is developing that of the erstwhile J&K Assembly, the 24 seats need to be filled, and members of parliament from Gilgit, Baltistan, Muzaffarabad, Mirpur and Poonch need to be able to represent their voices in India's parliament, perhaps even, why not, sit in India's cabinet at the center and certainly at the state. Now, how do we then do this? Let's go through a step-by-step plan, and before that, let me introduce our guest. Hindol Singh Gupta is joining us on the broadcast. He is a journalist and author. Dikit Bhattacharya, who also works in the Global Order, a New Global Order with Hindol, is also on the broadcast with us. As we have Rajiv Chunni, who is chairman of SOS International. He himself is a POK displaced person and one of the future leaders of the people from this region. Shaukat Ali Kashmiri, he is an exiled leader of the United Kashmir People's National Party, UK PNP, is also joining us on the broadcast. Let me take you through the plan. First of all, the Election Commission of India needs to launch an enrollment drive of POK exiles on place of origin basis, not where they are currently residing. For example, Rajiv Chunni, currently residing in Jammu, his place of origin is Mirpur. Voter ID cards then need to be given on the place of origin basis. This will then create a database of POK exiles within India on the basis of place of origin, in which voter applications can be done, and therefore you can delimit a constituency. This can then further be followed with a list of eligibility for POK exiles around the globe to apply for Indian citizenship. Now, I know this is easier said than done, because as soon as you open this up, the Pakistanis will try to send in some infiltrators to apply for a passport, but at least an eligibility list should come out and a vetting process should start. In the end, this is about the people. It's not about territory. It's about the people. So we have to own them in order to get this reintegration plan going. Now, this delimitation commission needs to carve out these assembly and parliamentary constituencies. We can't have them a blank space on India's ACPC map. They have to be carved out. All POK refugees should be able to vote on behalf of Mirpur and Muzaffarabad in the next assembly or Lok Sabha polls. So we need to set up voter booths at least in 21 centers across the country in various towns and cities, so POK exiles across the country can come and cast these votes. And the maps need to reflect the assembly and parliamentary constituencies in these areas. We need to ensure that Kashmiri Pandits get at least 5 seats in the new J&K Assembly, nominated if need be. And we also need to ensure that the J&K cabinet, the next government that forms, has representatives from Mirpur, Muzaffarabad. Why shouldn't they sit in cabinet? Why shouldn't they be ministers? Similarly, when we next time do a parliament reshuffle at the center, why not have an elected parliamentarian from Mirpur, a union minister of this country? What a message that will send. And these people will then represent their own voice. They don't need us to do it by proxy. They are all Indian citizens. Let me open up this conversation immediately to Hindol Singh Gupta. Hindol, now, there's an opportunity here, and every measure I've discussed in the past 45 minutes is a non-force measure. We are assuming that the army, if given the task, can get the job done. In the end, it's about making sure that the civil administrative setup can keep pace. How do we start that in absentia?
I think the way to start that is, number one, to have a broader civil discussion and deliberation about this around the country. I think Jammu and Kashmir and its affairs are at a particular pivot. We have far crossed the point where, issues created in Jammu and Kashmir by Pakistan or its proxies or other nefarious elements within Jammu and Kashmir on the Indian side can consistently trigger issues that impact other parts of India. Now, what you're talking about and what we have written about in Global Order is to take the battle to the other side. Number one, people have to understand in India, before anywhere else, that these areas are intrinsically connected to Indian territory. These are Indian territory. This is intrinsically India. we should not, in our imagination, in our cultural and public imagination, think of these places as somewhat alien, or these people as alien to us. They are us. Once we are able to accommodate that in our public imagination, next comes the legislative process that you have charted out. This legislative process, with the other structural moves that are happening or that have been proposed under the NRC, the CAA, and other such measures, will allow us to build this entire, build bridges essentially to get these people to be accommodated in the parliamentary process of India. Once that happens, as you correctly point out, this debate will be taken forward by the people from that region. They do not need other sort of, other people in India to act as their representative voices. But this is a long drawn affair, Rishabh, and we should not think that this is going to happen overnight. However, this is very important to start, not least because what's happening in Afghanistan and its repercussions that are bound to come across the region.
Okay, let me put the same question to Rajiv ji. Rajiv ji, चर्चा हम कर चुके हैं इसके बारे में, आपकी आई नो आपकी ओपिनियन से इससे सहमति है. कैसे उभर रहे हैं लोग? जैसे आई थिंक हम दोनों की मुलाकात करीबन 2-2.5 साल 3 साल पहले हुई थी, यहीं पर टेलीविज़न पे हुई थी. हमारे कॉलीग अजय ने हमें इंट्रोड्यूस कराया था लाइव टेलीकास्ट पे. अब 3 साल बीत गए हैं और हमने देखा है कि आपने और आपकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन SOS इंटरनेशनल, इफ़ आई एम नॉट मिस्टेकन राजीव जी, डिड यू ऑल्सो स्टैंड एज एन इंडिपेंडेंट कैंडिडेट इन द LS पोल्स जम्मू से? यस. तो आपने डिसीजन लिया है कि भी मैं कोशिश करता हूं कि हमारी रिप्रेजेंटेशन बढ़े, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बने और एक कम्युनिटी अप्रोच हो इस पर. आपकी अब कम्युनिटी में, POK रेफ्यूजी कम्युनिटी में, कैसी कम्युनिटी लीडरशिप अब कैसे उभर रही है, जहां पर हम जाएं हमें पता चले कि भाई यहाँ पर कम्युनिटी लीडर्स हैं जो MLA MP बन सकते हैं और आगे जाके मंत्री भी बन सकते हैं?
देखें, इसमें कोई शक नहीं है कि हमारे लोगों को ना तो चुनाव में वोट डालने का कोई रोक थी, ना कोई विधायक बनने की रोक थी. लोग चुनाव लड़ते थे और विधायक भी बनते थे. लेकिन एक बात मैं जरूर कहूंगा, जिस मकसद को लेकर आज हम यहाँ चर्चा कर रहे हैं वो मकसद पूरा नहीं हो रहा. वो मकसद क्या है कि पाक अधिकृत कश्मीर, जिसको हम अपना अंग कहते हैं, अपना इलाका कहते हैं, वहां की रिप्रेजेंटेशन नहीं हो पा रही. मान लीजिए मैं जम्मू पश्चिम क्षेत्र में रहता हूं, जम्मू वेस्ट इसको असेंबली सेगमेंट कहते हैं, तो वहां से अगर कोई मेरा विस्थापित जीत भी जाता है तो वो विधायक कहलाएगा जम्मू वेस्ट का, ना कि वीरपुर का. हमारा मकसद है कि हम दुनिया को दिखाएं, देश को दिखाएं कि हम कागजी बातें नहीं करते, हम प्रैक्टिकल बात करते हैं. हमने उन लोगों को नुमाइंदगी दी है और हम ये भी कहते हैं, हम ये नहीं कहते इस लालच में कि वो 24 सीटें ही सारी की सारी मुझे दे दी जाए. हम 1/3 लोग हैं जो विस्थापित होकर आए थे. हम कह रहे हैं हमें 8 सीटें खोल दीजिए, 16 सीटें उन लोगों के लिए रखिए जो LOC के पार बैठे हैं हमारे हिस्से में, जिस पर पाकिस्तान का आज कब्जा है. जब वो इलाका हमारे साथ जुड़ेगा, हम उन 16 सीटों पर भी चुनाव कराकर अपनी असेंबली को मुकम्मल कर लेंगे. तो इससे मैं कह रहा हूं, आम के आम गुठलियों के दाम, इससे क्या फायदा होगा? देखिए, आज मिलिटेंसी की खेती पाक अधिकृत कश्मीर में होती है. हमने सारी जिंदगी पाकिस्तान की प्रॉक्सी वार के साथ लड़ाई लड़ी. जब वो उसमें कामयाब नहीं हो पाया तो उसने क्रॉस बॉर्डर वायलेशन स्टार्ट कर दी, फायरिंग स्टार्ट कर दी. उसमें भी कामयाब नहीं हो पाया, आज उसने ड्रोन हमले शुरू कर दिए. कब तक हम सहते रहेंगे? मैं कहता हूं कि अच्छा, CPAC की आप बात करें, मेरे घरों को उजाड़ कर वहां पर CPAC बनाया जा रहा है, सड़कें बनाई जा रही हैं, रेल मार्ग बनाए जा रहे हैं और मुझे पूछा नहीं जा रहा. ये कैसे रुकेगा? मैं कहता हूं इन सारी चीजों का हल करने के लिए हमारे लोगों को नुमाइंदगी देनी निहायत जरूरी है.
राजीव चुन्नी,
हम लोग
सीधा सवाल है, सीधा सवाल है,
चाइना के CPAC का भी मुकाबला करें और उसके साथ
राजीव चुन्नी, सीधा सवाल है,
वहां पर जो मिलिटेंसी की खेती होती है उसको भी रोकने में हम दुनिया और देश को दिखाएं.
राजीव जी, आपसे सीधा सवाल कर रहा हूं लाइव टेलीविजन में. अगर मौका मिले और अगर ऐसी अपॉर्चुनिटी मिले, क्या आप और लोग तैयार हैं इलेक्शन लड़ने के लिए, रिप्रेजेंटेशन देने के लिए, भारत के संविधान पर ओथ लेने के लिए और अपनी कम्युनिटी, अपने लोगों की वॉइस, ज़बान आगे बढ़ाने के लिए? क्या आप तैयार हैं?
निश्चित तौर पर तैयार हैं। और जहां तक भारत की ओथ लेने की बात है, हमने 1947 में पाकिस्तान को यह बता दिया था जब उसने हम पर हमला किया था, हमारा देश भारत है और हम इस तरफ मुंह करके आए थे, हमने पाकिस्तान की तरफ मुंह नहीं किया। तो आज सारी जनता तैयार है, इंतजार इस बात का है कि सरकार फैसला कब लेती है।
Okay. Shaukat Ali ji, now this is of course happening, sir, in the context of these elections that are taking place for 50 odd seats in POK. India's official position on this is of course very clear, that these elections are illegal. In turn, one would have to assume that representation for the people of POK then has to be given from Mirpur, from Muzaffarabad, from the western part of Pooj, Gilgit-Baltistan, has to be given within the Indian constitution. How best do we do it, sir?
First of all, I would like to thank you, all of you, and especially the NewsX for your invitation. Although I was very busy and actually there was some kind of misunderstanding regarding the times. But anyhow, you asked me, and actually I have no other options to participate. But still, I did not understand that, India has a locus standi on state of Jammu Kashmir. We have signed a treaty of accession with India, and constitutionally, whole state of Jammu Kashmir is part and parcel of the Indian state. So first of all, I belongs to that area which is under Pakistani occupations, and it was the India who pledged to vacate all the infiltrators and reunite the state. Now you are asking me whether I will participate in the election or not. What is the Indian decisions? Since 1994, your parliament passed a resolutions and took pledge to take these areas which is under illegal occupation of Pakistan. Since 1994, I have not seen any kind of initiative from the Indian government. Now we belongs to that part. We are not the proxy candidate. Until and unless that area will not reunite the erstwhile princely state of Jammu Kashmir, how we can participate? Just one of anybody who nominated us that you are the member of the state assembly. What is the fate of the state assembly? What is their constitutional positions? So it is very early to say anything. If the government of India is serious about any legal points or constitutional points, then they should hold a conference and invite us and listen us what we want.
Okay, so
But it is very difficult to debate very serious issues, constitutional issues, future issues on in
okay, I think that's a practical suggestion.
बहुत ही मुश्किल है.
Yes.
क्यों कि हमारी रेलिवेंस हमारे इलाके से है. हम अपने इलाके के लोगों से वोट लेके तो पार्लियामेंट में जाना चाहेंगे. Just nomination.
No, I agree with you. So there can be two logics, and we are talking about the 13 lakh POK exiles, but you're absolutely right. There is an obvious conversation that needs to happen, and I'm making two suggestions here, and they're just suggestions. There can be various formulations that can be put up. There should be a permanent parliamentary standing committee that is examining these things on a regular basis on the legal and constitutional issues beyond that. Very competent people in the Election Commission of India that need to now start thinking of how these votes can be done, and of course an invitation to representatives from POK exile communities to have a conversation with Government of India and stakeholders in an all of India approach to solve this, because how can in the end we find a solution without involving the people of the area, especially those people who recognize, who do not dispute that this area comes under the Indian Constitution. Dikit?
No.
let's get a fresh voice into this. For people watching this broadcast, DK, really intelligent, very young, and give us some out-of-the-box ideas. How do we move this forward? Because if I remember, DK,
I did not.
yes, Shaukat, coming back to you in a second, sir. DK, you were working on a draft legislation to move these forward. Obviously, it's easier said than done. But if we put our minds to it, can we do these things?
There is nothing which cannot be done within our constitutional framework and a reasonable sense of security from a purely legal perspective as to what it can be done. However, the real thing that matters is intention. Recently, Sushil Chandra Saab, our election commissioner, when he said that these seats will remain vacant, it was something of a heartbreak, because what it basically shows is the intention somewhere seems to be lacking as of now. And without intention, no matter which law you pass, it will remain dead letter on paper. So it's not about what our parliament passes as a resolution. It's not really about the constitution amendment. It's simply about what our true intentions are. Are we actually willing to take the risk and upset the apple cart? Are we willing to break the convention as it stands? And are we willing to simply do what our people deserve, give them representation? The fact of the matter is what's been happening since forever. And I'm not talking about this government in particular. What's been happening is the seduction of being co-opted into the way Kashmir has always worked is too strong sometimes. And what happens is, just to run the same old practices in the same old way without upsetting the valley politicians, we deter from doing a lot of things which are almost commonsensical. Now, I sincerely hope that is not the case right now, but when it comes to representation and what can be done and cannot be done, it's fairly obvious. If we at Global Order could draft an entire constitutional amendment bill and give you 4 different options as to how you can take it forward and how you can give representation, I don't see why implementing it would be too big of a deal.
Okay, it is possible. Okay, it's an interesting point. This is about intent. It's about a little bit of creativity. Now, we have shown intent in the past few years in ways that we haven't shown in many, many decades. And at the same time, it looks, we keep talking in theory about paradigm shifts. This is paradigm shift. If you can do this, just imagine when you have somebody coming down to Delhi representing Mirpur, he swears in the Lok Sabha, potentially becomes a member of cabinet, and then that person with that gravitas goes abroad and says, look, my family's from Mirpur, that's where I'm from, and here I am, I'm a minister in the Indian government, and we represent the voice of the people there, and the Pakistanis are occupiers. Non-forced solutions, I know it's easier said than done, but at least we need to show intent. We can do that. Shaukat ji, sorry I interrupted you, sir. Finish your point, and then I have a couple of questions for Hindol as well.
देखिए, सबसे पहली बात यह है कि आपको ये करने के लिए इंडिया के कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में, वो तो आपने विकेंड रखी हुई है किसके लिए, गिलगित बल्तिस्तान के और आज़ाद कश्मीर के एरिया के लिए, आपने पीपल्स के लिए नहीं, कि ये एरियाज हैं जो स्टेट ऑफ जम्मू कश्मीर का हिस्सा हैं और यहाँ के लोगों के लिए 24 सीट्स हैं, और जब ये लोग मिल जाएंगे तो फिर वहां भी इलेक्शन कराएगा इलेक्शन कमीशन। तो सबसे पहले तो आपको कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में तरमीम करके इसमें अमेंडमेंट करनी पड़ेगी। और दूसरी बात यह है कि इतना बड़ा स्टेप लेने के लिए कि अगर आपने डायस्पोरा को इन सीट्स पे नुमाइंदगी देनी है इन इलाकों की, तो तब भी एक संजीदा गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया और स्पेशली द फॉरेन ऑफिस एक कॉन्फ्रेंस करे डायस्पोरा कश्मीरीज के लिए दिल्ली में या कहीं, तो तब जाके तो इसकी सारी जो है वो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल जितने भी उसके एस्पेक्ट्स हैं, पॉलिटिकल एस्पेक्ट्स हैं, और फिर ये है कि इस पे एक कोई स्टेप लिया जा सकता है वैसे तो। और फिर ये है कि इलेक्शन कमीशन भी अपनी फाइंडिंग्स को जब तक के वो उसकी तशहीर नहीं करता, वो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के मुताबिक जो करार नहीं देता, सबसे पहले तो उसको कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट की जरूरत है।
Correct. So the election commission needs to be empowered, and having a conversation of what would then become POK exiles is very important. Some of them are internally displaced within India, and some, of course, are living abroad. Again, I'm not saying this is an easy and you press the button and we can do it tomorrow.
No.
But we can do
Those
it. Yeah, finish your thoughts.
Who live in India, they are part and parcel, constitutionally part and parcel of the Indian Union.
Correct.
They are not living in exile.
Correct.
If you are saying that they are living in exile, it means that India is a different country.
No,
and state
it
of
is
Jammu
the
Kashmir is a
technical,
different
the
country.
technical
First of
word
all,
is
you people
internally
should
displaced person.
mind
That's
your
the technical word. It's IDP.
mind here that what is the legitimacy? Those people, it is the Indian responsibility to those people who displaced from their home. They should settle them. They are not
Correct. That's the end goal. I'm trying to see what are the steps towards the end goal. Okay.
Persons from Mirpur, he was forced to leave his native area.
Correct.
But now it is the state of Jammu Kashmir constitutionally, which is the part and parcel of the Indian Union. Now he is not living in exile.
So I think just hold your breath, sir. 1 second. Let me get Hindol back before I run out of time. Hindol. So now what's the 1, 2, 3 plan?
The 1, 2, 3 plan is very simple. Number one, we have to be clear and determined that we need to do this. And the reason why we need to proceed down this path is very simple. With what's happening in Afghanistan and the steady progress of CPEC, these two things are going to cause more and more, should I say, issues in our neighborhood. Unless we have an effective counter, not only militarily, but politically, there will be other questions that we might find hard to deal with once CPEC really extends, once, as many people believe, the Taliban takes over in Afghanistan and so on and so forth. Therefore, this is a political move to try and ensure two things. Number one, justice is done to the people of that area. Number two, geographically, the affinity that exists and always has existed with India is continued in a sacrosanct manner by giving a voice to the people of that region within the Indian constitutional framework. This is urgent because it will also take the dialogue within Kashmir forward. Let me end with one small example, Rishabh, from Kashmir, a place you also know very well. Just as an analogy, as you know, one of the biggest problems in Kashmiri administration has always been corruption. But one of the biggest problems logistically was the paperwork was absolutely Kafka's. So one of the things that Governor Sinha has achieved in Kashmir is removing paperwork and moving everything to a digital platform, which allows some of the streamlining that is very necessary to cut grassroots corruption in Kashmiri administration. This has already happened and happening under Governor Sinha. This is a sort of, and this is the analogy I want to draw, by allowing these people a voice within the constitutional framework, we will be cutting out the kind of nefarious grassroots activity that has kept this region away from India, that has kept the dialogue and its processes away from India.
Okay.
We will reclaim space. That's very important.
There's a whole host of things. I've run short of time. We're not stopping here. I'm going to take a break. We pick this up on the other side. We're doing this today and tomorrow. I'm going to be interrupted a little bit, of course, because of political developments take place in Karnataka. But we'll be back banging on this.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.